One of the most advanced countries in Asia is Singapore. We're not talking about Japan, we're not talking about South Korea, we're not talking about China, but we talk about Singapore. About 70 years ago, Singapore basically didn't exist. And it was one of the poorest country in Asia. It used to be part of Malaysia before the separation occurred. But what Singapore did was amazing. They employed and they hired specialists in different fields, and they were able to grow their country drastically and fast in a very short period of time. Very short period of time. And now Singapore citizens and the Singapore passport is the most powerful passport in the world. Why? Because of its economy. Because of its economy and because of its system. Economic diversification, attracting foreign investments, developing sectors like finance, technology, and manufacturing. How do they know this? Because they talk to the right people. They have the government. First of all, there's no corruption. There's no corruption in the Singapore government. And if there's no corruption in a government and everybody who works for the government is honest, truthful, with integrity, they are going to take care of their country and they are going to take care of their people. That's what that's the philosophy that Singapore government believes in. So they invested heavily on technology, education, military, and infrastructure. Singapore is one of the cleanest countries in the world. It's super clean, very clean. How and why did it become like that? Because of the government and the systems they have in place. People who run the country should be honest, loyal, who love their country, who will do what is best for the country, who will do what is best for the people. Nobody should be running a country who is selfish, who's a liar, who's corrupt, who doesn't do what is best for their country. None of these people qualify to run a country. If we compare Singapore to some of the Arab countries like Saudi Arabia, Egypt, UAE, you'll see that there's a huge difference. Even though Saudi Arabia and UAE are wealthy countries, right? Being wealthy doesn't mean having the proper system in places. There are so many wealthy countries, but they don't have the proper government. The government is corrupt, the system is corrupt, the system doesn't do what is best for the people. There is no welfare system, there's no housing system, there's no technology, there's no employment system, there's no training system, none of these things. Why? Because there's a big separation between classes. Only certain class get treated specially and other classes are disregarded. And one of the other big problems and the difference between Singapore and these countries here is the law. When you put a law in place, the law should apply to everybody, to the citizen, to the non-citizen, to the immigrant, to the rich, to the poor, to the old. All different colors should have the same law. But when you put laws and systems in place that only favor the citizens and you treat the citizens in a special manner and everybody else don't get the same treatment, then that is the first step to corruption. That is the first step to inequality. That is the first step to destroying your citizens and destroying your people. And unfortunately, these kind of systems are available in the Arab worlds. Many of the Arab worlds have these systems where the citizens are superior over the non-citizens. The citizens get all the privileges automatically, simply because they're citizens. They get the best jobs, the high-paying jobs, with or without qualification. Most of them without any qualifications. They get the best jobs. They get the best statuses. Usually, they're the owners and the managers. They get the higher positions in companies automatically without qualifications, simply because they are citizens. So let's talk about the systems that made Singapore the best. The government puts the people first. The people come first. And that's how every single government should be. What is the point of having government when the people are struggling, when the people are starving, when the people don't have jobs, when the people don't have health care, when the people don't have housing, when the people don't have education, and the roads are bad, there are slums, and all kind of different disaster is happening in the country, and the government is there, the leaders are there, they live in the best neighborhoods, they live in the best houses, they're taking all the money and they're happy, but everybody in the country is struggling. Many of the countries, unfortunately, the third world countries, this is how they operate. You have leaders, presidents running the country with corruption, taking all the money, putting their money in Swiss banks in Europe and other countries because they don't trust their own banks in their country, and they are cheating the system, they are cheating the people, and everybody else is struggling, and everybody else is starving, and everybody else have nothing to eat. So when there is a system in place and when there are people running the government, okay, government leaders, the system should apply to every single person. And the government has to do its job. That's why the government needs different agencies. Look at the whole country and see what part of the country needs to be worked on. Look at what part of the country is struggling. Why are people struggling? What resources do they need? What help do they need? What can we do for the people? And unfortunately, that is something that many of the Arab countries failed to do. They failed to do that, even though their GDP is over a trillion, super wealthy, but most of the people in the country are struggling because they don't have systems in places. No housing system, no employment system, no education system, no healthcare system, and many people are struggling. The roads are bad, no transportation system. People are not safe. People are scared. A lot of corruption. The cops, they don't get paid well, so they're asking money from the public. Anytime you ask policeman for help, he helps you, but he expects you to pay him for helping you. That's kind of level of corruption we're dealing with. So some of the advances that Singapore has implemented is corruption-free system. No corruption at all. Nobody can take, no government employees can take any bribes, any gift, anything from anyone. Because if they see that government employees taking bribes or gifts from the public, from the citizens, that government employee is automatically terminated. Period. That's it. He's not going to hold a government position without corruption. And that's exactly how it should be. And all the systems in place should benefit the citizens, should not only benefit few people in the government, but should benefit the citizens. And there needs to be many government agencies, many government offices throughout the country ready to help the people, to look at the needs of the people and help them. And that's why Singapore is the most developed country in the world. Super clean roads. I know I mentioned this before because it's just amazing how clean the roads are, the systems in places, and everybody is well trained and well behaved. Why? Because everybody is employed, everybody's self sufficient, the government is taking care of people, everybody's happy. And this is exactly what the Arab countries need to do. If you have the money, but you don't have the resources, you don't have the education, you don't have the brain to use your money, it's useless. That's why you have to implement laws and systems and protocols in place that is going to benefit the whole country and everyone. And everyone should be treated the same. That's another problem as well. Because if you look in Singapore, they have many different ethnic groups. They have Chinese, they have Malay, they have Hindu, and they have other minority ethnic groups. But everybody's getting treated the same way. That is something that the Arab countries failed to do. Treat everybody the same way. And hopefully once they do that, they're going to see developments and they're going to see improvements in their countries.